Hi, it's Marius Pion from GBC Lab. Today we have Martin Geiger and Andreas Tibbles. They are doing a kind of great research about talent, mobility, innovation. So we want to go through this topic and what is their research about and how they got in China and why they got in China and so on. But before that, we need some introduction from them. Okay, Martin, thank you so much. Andreas, thank you so much. We'll start from Martin. Have a brief introduction of yourself.
So my name is Martin Geiger. I'm a professor in Ottawa at Carleton University, which is in Canada.
Nice.
And so I came as a high-skilled migrant, so to say, to Canada myself a few years ago.
Nice.
And that's why I'm so interested in this area of research. And yeah.
Nice. Awesome. And Andreas?
My name is Andreas Tibbles. I'm actually still a student at Carleton University. I actually met Dr. Geiger. I saw a poster in the school, and I applied to become his research assistant. And then from there, we went through, and I worked with him, and that work has brought me to Shanghai.
Nice. Earlier we had a talk about innovation or talent, mobility, innovation. What is exactly about, and what exactly you focus on?
Yeah. So the project I'm leading, it looks at technology regions around the globe. So Shanghai is just one of the many examples we are looking at, and we are looking how, returnees or global talent, high-skilled professionals focus perhaps on STEM sector, come to these places and then contribute to innovation, technological development. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as our viewers, they're coming from different category of innovators, investors, creators, and so on. You just want to know what is the STEM here?
Yeah, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So people that have these skills, right? They are really in demand globally, and it's very interesting because from an innovation standpoint, you can never have enough or too many talent, right? You always want to have as much talent as you can have, and free flow of ideas and so on. And very often we have a lot of ideas about innovation, knowledge transfer and so on. And sometimes we really forget that it's actually people that bring the knowledge as well, right? And the carriers of knowledge and ideas. And that's why I think it's important to study the mobility of these people and how they come from one place to the other, from Silicon Valley to Shanghai, and perhaps back from Shanghai to Silicon Valley at some point.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this is happening in different parts of the world, like let's say from Silicon Valley to Bangalore.
Yeah.
Or some other cities from Europe to Silicon Valley and vice versa. This is happening. So why China then?
So China is, as said, is just one of the many examples we are looking at, and we are looking not precisely only at countries, we are looking really at technology regions, right? So China is only since recently basically has become involved in this competition for global talent, while China is of course a major sending country of people that go abroad and get education and skills abroad, and then returnees that come to China. So for example, I mean, we are based in Canada. The biggest group of immigrants, professionals are Chinese. The biggest group of international students in STEM sector are Chinese. So Canada and China are well connected through these talent flows. And many Chinese do not, they perhaps stay for a while in Canada, but increasingly they also return because they are attracted by this impressive growth of China and this possibilities that exist here.
Nice. So Andreas, why you're interested in this research program with Dr. Geiger?
Well, I think from a personal standpoint, I'm really interested in this project because, like Dr. Geiger, I'm kind of global talent as well, or a global person. I grew up in 3 different countries before I was age 10, and then I kind of continued to experience the different migration systems of lots of different countries. And knowledge transfer is something that's very important to me, and global talents are people, exceptional people, who are mainly in charge of the transfer of this knowledge.
Nice. So, Doctor, how do you see the returnees movement? Like, they move from the country that they grew, but their heritage is somewhere else. Let's say they're Indian, or they are Chinese, or they are Asian, let's say, or from some other countries. So how do you see that? Is it because of the mother country now, because it used to be kind of underdeveloped, or it was developing, now it is getting close to be a developed country? Is it because of economy situation they are getting back, or it's because of incentives that governments are providing? What could be the main and important point that all those talent that they can move from one place to another place?
Yeah, so basically one of the findings could be that it's not so much the policies that to attract migrants or mobility, is also really very much the incentives, right? Like tax subsidies or tax incentives, other incentives, right, that drive talent mobility. And increasingly there are also other factors. Very long time we thought about them as being soft factors, but increasingly they are important, right? That people also move because they are attracted by, less polluted countries, or safer environment, green environment, lifestyle, and so on, right? There's all kinds of other factors now contributing that. And if you're a high-skilled talent, and if you are very good in your job, sometimes you can actually pick the country where you want to go, right? And they try to get you in different countries, and so you can perhaps choose where to go. While many people on this planet are simply, we have to say, not lucky and cannot choose, right? And we always need to not forget about these people as well, right?
Sure. Andreas, in terms of what Dr. Geiger said, so those reasons, and what is important for you and your generation, as you mentioned, you yourself, you're a global talent. What are those indicators? What are those criteria that are important that you look at them, and then based on that you move to another city, starting your career, or working in your own company as well? What are those criteria?
Well, I think especially seeing it as I'm doing research right now in the Shanghai cluster for these very reasons. I guess from a more general sense, not just from a personal sense. I mean, I moved a lot just because I was interested in the culture of a country, or there might be some employment opportunities. But I think that a lot of people are moving back to China and Shanghai, or are coming to China and Shanghai in the first place because they're very interested in the market opportunities, because it's such a large market, and they can access that. And there's also a good deal of, I think, European people, and especially French people in Shanghai, that kind of feel like they might have a little bit of history behind their reasons for coming back.
Nice.
But I think that mostly it's really for business reasons, because China and Shanghai in general have such a dynamic business environment.
Nice. So, Doctor, which country is the most has the most returnees now? Well, I mean, in terms of your research.
I think China would be one of the top countries, right? And I mean, about return flows, it is of course helpful very much that China is growing so at such a pace, right? And other countries that are major sending countries are not in that position to grow at that pace, right? So it really depends then on, and many people are also returning, and they have not migrated themselves, but like the ancestors, right? And we're talking about third generation and so on that return. So of course, as Andreas already explained, there are many factors coming together. It's not just employment or income level or what else. It's really also sometimes people just feel attracted to learn more about the culture of their parents and move back. And they might try as students first, and then find out, well, I'm gonna stay because they give me incentives and opportunities, right?
Nice. As you're coming from Canada, so most of the population in Canada, they're immigrants. So how how could it? I'm just thinking that how could it be? How Canada can have returnee? You know what I'm saying? So it's not like China. It's not like Asian countries that is coming from a really long history and so on. Then people and Canada has been always a good country with a good economy and so on. How is it for Canada? I mean, is Canada is looking for talents to attract them to be there, or?
So Canada is like worldwide recognized as one of these poster child leader of targeted migration recruitment programs, right? And Canada has the goal, or since several years, to each year let 1% of the population immigrate to Canada. So we are at levels of 400,000 people per year that can immigrate to Canada. And Canada has a sophisticated plethora, actually, of various programs at provincial and federal level to attract people. And actually, according to human capital and criteria, but then also certain criteria or certain categories for humanitarian reasons, for students, for other different types of high skilled mostly. And other countries do not have that. So, for example, I'm from Germany, right? And Germany is still grappling a bit with becoming officially still it is de facto, it's an immigration country, the second most important in the world, but it has not moved toward like a real agenda on targeted recruitment and retention, while many countries actually move toward doing that, and including China is doing that, and this is very interesting.
How do you see India in terms of that? Or let me ask my question in another way. Where are other countries here? It is all about China, this research, or it's all about the specific countries?
Yeah. So India has returnees, and it is important for Bangalore and for certain centers in India, right? But I mean, it is not that of this importance, like a multitude now that we currently witnessing here, and it might change in the future. I'm pretty sure. Other countries, so for example, speaking about Israel, which is very interesting. It's the startup nation, worldwide recognized that it has a problem that actually many people that are successful in Israel at some point leave the country and go to Silicon Valley, especially to the US. And Israel is constantly experience a brain drain. We call that brain drain. And for a long time, Israel was able to recruit Jewish high-skilled migrants from the former CIS region, right? But this pool of talent is like limited, right? And experience. So Israel at some point might have to move forward and also to design programs to attract talent or visa policies like China is doing already, right? And that is very interesting. Though it is such an important startup nation, right? So
exactly. So where I mean the university you're coming from is Carleton, as you mentioned before, and then who is in charge of the budget, the cost, and everything? I mean, is it government? Is it university? I just want to dig into that, and I want to see who are your partners
of our project. Currently, we have multiple donors or funders. So one is actually Ontario, the provincial government of Ontario. And interestingly, it comes really from the Innovation Fund, the ministry, what is the position of Ontario in the global race for talent, right? And we compared then also different provinces in Canada and got funding for that. But currently it is very much like federal and provincial. And of course we try to expand and go into other countries. So very much in a way we operate almost like a business ourselves, a multinational company that sets up researchers in various places. And Andreas, you might want to talk where we have currently other researchers as well. And
that's why I asked, what are other countries that you're actually working on that?
So we have me here in Shanghai, and then we have another researcher in Israel, linked with the University of Haifa. I'm linked with the Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences here. And then we have another researcher in Denmark, but I'm not sure what university she's
Roskilde
in.
University. Yeah.
Roskilde.
Yeah, and so us three. We also have someone who just was awarded funding to go to the United Kingdom.
Nice.
And we're all getting funding from an award called the MyTax Global Link Award, which is, I guess, the funding originates from Canadian government. Yeah.
Nice. So here, who are your partners? I mean, I know that we are supposed to cooperate in that research that you have. So, and we hope that we can help you in all aspects. So, we just want our viewers to know that who are other partners in this project.
So we partner currently very strongly with Center for China and Globalization, CCG, based in Beijing.
Nice.
Which is a very important institution, think tank in the area of mobility studies or migration studies as well in China. And we have then various partners at let's call it local level in Shanghai, what Andreas already mentioned, and we kind of try to expand that, right? And this we do in various countries. So we have established contacts to Roskilde University, Tel Aviv, also in Germany we have contacts, and so on. But it is, you have to build up these contacts, right? And so I'm coming to Shanghai, every second month, right? And we try always to build another stone on and so on, right?
How Chinese are in terms of cooperation with you? As you said, the CCG is cooperating, is good. It is a great organization for what you're doing, and definitely they're helpful in that term. So how it is? I mean, do you want to have like the result of your research shared with Chinese government, with Canadian government? Are you willing to share this research with other governments in other countries?
Well, yeah, so the prime focus is not only that we produce something for governments only, right?
Yeah.
So, but our aim is really to develop insights that help also companies and industries actually to flourish, to innovate, right? That is our main target, basically, right? What is the climate? And we talk so much about ecosystems of knowledge or whatever, right? But what constitutes that? And one important factor is really talent mobility, right? We talk so much about knowledge transfer, but it's actually often people. And we probably, all of us, we know someone who has gone to another place, brought in interesting innovation and ideas, and the place has changed because of these people going to another place, and they have made innovations and so on. Right?
Yeah, but what you're saying is if some talents they go to another place, but can they be the policy maker in that place? Can be influential in that place? How long would it take to be in that position that they can have others with them in terms of whatever they're doing in innovation ecosystem or entrepreneurship ecosystem? So how do you see, Andreas, if you as a global talent who is involved with this project with Dr. Geiger, so how do you see, how long do you think would it take a global talent have that influence that can bring others, or we call it sometimes word of mouth, that people or global talent, they talk to each other and say, hey, let's go in this city, everything is fine, we can do a lot. Like Silicon Valley, everybody is talking about, but Silicon Valley is something that has been doing like all these crazy innovative and entrepreneurial stuff like for 50 years, more than 50 years. So, but how would it be other cities if tomorrow I come to you and say, okay, hey, let's get to Bangalore, hey, let's get to Shanghai, let's get to Shenzhen, or let's get to anywhere in the world that the startup vibe or innovation vibes is like high. So how do you see all these things?
Well, yeah, I think that it obviously takes a good amount of time to build up a knowledge ecosystem.
Yeah.
But I think, I guess what I'm seeing is that in our world of Internet of Things and data that can be disseminated almost everywhere. This is really making these transformations from just a city into a knowledge cluster and an innovation hub. It's making these changes happen much, much faster. When I speak to a lot of people who are from Shanghai, they tell me that it's just changed in 20 years, in 10 years, in 5 years even. It's exponentially changing and exponentially becoming much more productive and a much more dynamic place for business, which is also probably why we're seeing there are more and more people coming from outside of the country who are looking to settle here and start to get integrated into the business networks. Especially if we could take, if we look at a certain nationality, like French people, there's some people that start a company here and it's somewhat successful. And then more and more people, they keep on bringing more and more people, and that just becomes kind of an exponential transformation, along with the exponential transformation of the innovation hub, like Shanghai or the Yangtze River Delta itself.
What's interesting is simply that from a completely academic standpoint, right? But also from a, let's say, policy standpoint, it's very difficult to explain how it works and why it works. And all these, many of the cities are called like miracle, or something like that. Their miracle happened, or a miracle is happening. But how to explain that? And it's very interesting that, from an academic standpoint, much of the literature is ignoring actually the fact of talent mobility. It's about knowledge transfer. There's so many literature out there on, how to transfer knowledge and how important it is, but the people are actually missing there, and they're so important in this whole picture. And then from a policy standpoint, we would talk about, policies have to be created that do that, but they don't do that. Right, and the effect is we have other effects in social dynamics. It is worse to mouth, right? And actually, it is really about people communicating, and that is the innovation then that is happening and leading to the miracle. Is that people start to talk about that and make it possible in one place, literally speaking, right? And how to influence that is really something we need to study and understand better.
I think the influence of media in terms of word of mouth, then we go to social media. Let's say anything happened to anybody somewhere else that innovation is going on. Let's say that person getting problem in terms of innovation, in terms of visa, under that company that he's working or she's working there. And if they get problem in terms of having their visa by difficulties, or having difficulties for some simple things in that city. So you see that the policymakers, they have to see, or politicians that they're making the policies of the countries, they have to see that everything from up to down has to have harmony. You cannot call that you want to have an innovative country, then you have a kind of visa policy, or you have some other policies that not making those global talents feel comfortable to be there, because this is kind of multilateral things.
And I think it would be too single, it would be too simple to think only about visa policies in this respect, right? It is much, much more. It's about tax policies, it's all kinds of things, right? It's simply also how cities, we talk mainly about cities now, how they work, right? And we have this interesting development also in China and elsewhere around the world, that there are new cities created, right, to attract talent, right? And for a short while, they might be very interesting and very innovative and very successful, because perhaps there's a unicorn attracting all the talents and so on going there. But over the long run, we would have to look at it carefully, right? How it is regulated and how to influence actually that ecosystem, that it actually survives and maintains and keeps on growing, right? And I think, visa policies are definitely important, and I think it would be a myth to say something like there is one country in the world that manages it well and so on, and it's a daily process actually of adjusting policies and trying it out. In most countries I know, it is not going in that direction, that there is one policy and it works. No, it is actually you have to adjust them, and you have to know how to adjust it, right, and regulate it, that you have this more balanced and harmonious regulation of the whole picture, right?
Exactly. Doctor, in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship, and you're doing this research for Canadian University, and where is going to be the next step of your research? Are you just want to focus on that, or there is a bigger umbrella for the topic that you're working on that?
Well, so in the various countries we currently study, we talk now 21 countries, we try to send people like Andreas to all these places to try actually to build networks and hubs, right, and then in the best way to apply then also for funding to create something which is meaningful. And I mean, in last instance, I'm also a professor at the university. I think about the talent I train on a daily basis at my university, and sending people actually then abroad, and these people come back and might work later. Most of them won't work in academia, right?
Yeah.
They will work in the business, they will work in the government, and they will know how important it is to go abroad and actually to learn about other countries and actually try to take best out of it, of this experience. And that is the most important thing in the whole picture for me personally.
Nice. Andreas, this is your first city in terms of cooperating with this research program. Is that right? I mean,
so
Shanghai.
Shanghai. It's my first city.
Yeah. What is your next city? Have you
well, we're not sure yet. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I've already done work on, I think, about 4 or 5 different country and cluster profiles. So I've already gotten a good deal of experience going through different countries' visa policies and looking into their national databases and compiling data. And now, so what I'm really doing here is I'm using that knowledge that I've built through cooperation with Dr. Geiger, and now I'm looking for interviews of experts who might be foreign entrepreneurs, or they might be working in accelerators or incubators, or might be working for municipal government, and taking all of these factors and kind of cataloging them, putting them together, and I guess finding really what the story is for global talent and innovation, and how to keep these global talents in Shanghai.
Nice. So, Doctor, the last question. We want to know that till now, we want to see that how much your research can influence the decision-making process of policymakers.
So I think a key message would be if we want to actually make it work in many places, I think we want to study it first and understand better how it works, right? And that would be basically almost like a takeaway message now for people listening to us. If they have experiences and want to share with us, their insights, this of course is benefiting not only our project, but basically in the benefit of all, to actually make sure that innovation keeps growing and keeps happening. So basically that is a goal, I would say, which is very relevant for industries, for governments, for universities, for all kinds of actors in this whole puzzle piece, right? For startups, and simply that an ecosystem can grow or can maintain its growth and remain competitive.
Nice. Dr. Geiger and Andreas Tibbles, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Great pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.